Members? And Delegate Levine, you have item 312, number 6H?
That's correct.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This item provides more money for permanent supportive housing and also for the clinical supportive services that go with that. And this, not to make this sound like an infomercial, but this is money that actually makes money for the Commonwealth. $1.5 million in the first year will make $5.4 million, and $2.9 million will make more than $10 million. It will make more than 3 times back. And how can I say that? The reason is this is money designed to take people out of very expensive hospitals. So people with serious mental illnesses now, we know that there are 170 people that are ready to be discharged, but they have no place to go. And even though discharging them will cost about $13,000 in housing and between $2,000 and $16,000 depending on the intensity in outpatient services, the cost per patient of hospitalization is $225,000 a person. And we are paying that now. 170 times 225,000 is $38 million that we're paying right now. By providing this money, we actually will remove 48 individuals from the hospital. The daily census will go down 24. In the second year, it's 90. The daily census goes down 45. And when you multiply that times 225,000, we actually make back 3 times the money. And I've got a couple people who can help explain how that works. I've got Rhonda Thyssen, the Executive Director of NAMI Virginia, and then later on Sim Wimbush, the Executive Director of Virginia Housing Alliance. She's also the Chair of the Deeds Commission on Housing.
All right, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. I'm Rhonda Thyssen with NAMI Virginia, and Delegate Levine kindly introduced this budget amendment for us. Essentially what this budget amendment would do would increase PSH, permanent supportive housing funding, for over the biennium to the original budget request that the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services requested in its budget. The governor's introduced budget includes $4.6 million over the biennium. So essentially, the introduced budget cut that funding in half, and so we're requesting that the funding be increased to its original amount. So the requested funds would not, as Delegate Levine says, would assist people that are currently in state psychiatric hospitals that are ready for discharge but have no housing options in the community. And as a member of the Deeds Commission, Delegate Garrett, Chairman, you're very familiar with the discussion around this. I want to just say that, so the Department of Behavioral Health in 2014, excuse me, estimated that there are over 5,000 people in the Commonwealth who are with serious mental illness that are high utilizers of state hospital services, local criminal justice. They cycle in and out of homelessness. And so the department has undertaken an initiative over the last 3 years to provide permanent supportive housing with state general funds appropriated by the General Assembly. There have been 414 of those estimated 5,080 that have been housed so far. That's less than 10% of the need that's existing in the community. So, and this is a population that is in desperate need of stable housing. Just to give you an example, only of the cohort of 202 that have been housed so far, the department has looked at the data. Only 14% of those individuals in the 6 months prior to obtaining permanent supportive housing had 1 night of stable housing. In the 6 months post permanent supportive housing, 96% have retained their housing. They've stayed stable in housing. And so this is important because not only it promotes stability, but decreases the utilization of very expensive services, emergency department services, local inpatient, state hospital services. The number of days spent in local hospital decreased by 633 days total in the 6 months following. And this is a 66% decrease than what they had experienced in the 6 months prior. So again, this will continue the department's initiative. These funds would effectively double what the governor included in the introduced budget. And there's so much unmet need out there, and the outcomes that have been experienced so far by this population are really impressive, and we would ask that you support this amendment. Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir. Delegate Ingram.
Am I reading this right, that the governor put, it's 1.5 million the first year and 3 million in the second year in the budget now.
Yes, sir.
And this money that you're requesting is additional to that.
Yes, that's right. It would, what the governor included in his introduced budget was in essence half of what the department originally requested. And so what this budget amendment would do would be increase to what the department originally requested for over the biennium, which was 9.2 million over the biennium.
All right. All right, thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Chairman and honorable members. I will keep my comments very short and brief. I concur with everything that NAMI of Virginia, Rhonda Disson has said, as well as what Delegate Levine has mentioned. But I would probably take it just a step back just a little bit and just reiterate the importance of the model of permanent supportive housing. So there are three really critical components. You need to have access to a safe and permanent home. You need to have access to long-term rental subsidization as long as it's needed for the individual. And you need access to wraparound supportive services to keep that person stably housed. The whole point of permanent supportive housing is to take vulnerable individuals who have been experiencing some type of barrier that's been keeping them from being stably housed and place them in a house, wrap services around them, and in the process, you're ending up with a lot of cost avoidance in multiple systems. And so some of the things that were cited by Rhonda as well as Delegate Levine, I definitely would like to reiterate that permanent supportive housing is a evidence-based practice. It has over 30 years of research nationwide, but also it's been implemented widely within the state of Virginia. And currently the success rate of individuals who were formerly unstably housed through the program that has been issued through DDHES is currently 95%. So that's 95% of all the people that have been housed through this program are still currently housed today, which is, incredibly successful. So I highly recommend, and definitely encourage on behalf of Virginia Housing Alliance that you all support increasing the funding so we can continue to address this very addressable issue within Virginia. Thank you.
All right, questions of members? And just so, before you leave, just make sure I don't misunderstand this. So we've heard repeatedly from Dr. Barber yet with the extraordinary barriers list that there's 167 individuals in state hospitals who are clinically ready for discharge, and we're adding about 575 people annually. Delegate Ingram's addressed what was already in the governor's budget, and that was to address about 200 folks. And so this would effectively address another 200.
235 is the estimate.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Yes, sir, please come forward.
Yeah, I'm Bruce Cruiser, Executive Director of Mental Health America, Virginia, and on behalf of our 8 local affiliates, we also support the bill for the reasons stated. It's a program that works. We know it works, so thank you very much.
All right, sir, thank you very much. Members? Great. Delegate Levine, thank you for your support of your advocacy for your constituents, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
Delegate Carr, you have been